Neo Verona, luck isn't a matter of chance. It's a manufactured commodity, stockpiled and sold only to the city's corporate overlords. I've cracked the forbidden exploit to siphon their probability and become the most fortunate man alive. But every windfall demands a soul-crushing price, and the system is now harvesting the misfortune of those I hold dear.
Neon Sins AI.
In Neo Verona, luck isn't a twist of fate. It's a resource processed in frigid servers deep within the city's technological core. Billionaires buy up premium probability tiers, while the dregs of society rot under a programmed curse designed to keep the machine grinding. I was just another ghost haunting the terminals, watching my life bleed out as the central algorithm flagged me for total loss. But the system has a leak. A digital whisper that taught me to forge my own fortune in a black market terminal. They call it synthetic luck, the ultimate glitch in the natural order, where code overrides what should have been pure misery. I spent sleepless nights drowned in forbidden command lines, hunting for the master key to Verona's vault of universal odds. The air in my cubicle tasted like ozone and scorched coffee, my monitor reflecting the hollow eyes of a man with no exit strategy. When the first firewall finally buckled, the server roared like a mechanical beast, starving for a fresh sacrifice of data. I didn't just want a better life, I wanted to see the hierarchy collapse under the weight of fortune stolen from these modern gods. The digital clock on the wall signaled the death of an era as I executed the script that would rewrite my destiny forever. The breach began in total silence, a relentless flood of corrupted packets masking my ghost signal from the central AI's watchful gaze. I felt the hardware begin to cook, a technological fever burning my fingertips against the cold, industrial keyboard. Every layer I stripped away was a small strike against an empire that turned random chance into a high-luxury asset. The synthetic luck code began to weave into the fabric of reality, twisting the odds of every pulse in Neo Verona. I watched the probability grids shift in real time, a neon strobe dance promising me a digital paradise. But hijacking luck is never free. There's a grim equilibrium the system demands to keep the city's physical laws from shattering. For every improbable victory I forged, the algorithm had to bleed misfortune from somewhere dark and unintended. I ignored the redlining error prompts, blinded by the golden shimmer of the wealth about to materialize. The connection hit critical mass, and the universal probability server shuddered, sending an invisible shockwave through the local grid. In the dead center of the screen, the national lottery ticket flickered with the perfect sequence, the numbers that would drag me out of the digital gutter. A tomb-like silence swallowed the room, broken only by my own jagged breathing in the wake of the world's most dangerous heist. I had done it. I was the new architect of absolute luck, a god among men still begging for the crumbs of an unfair fate. I stepped out into the acid rain, and the world felt different, as if the very atmosphere were bowing to let me through. A heavy-duty transport lost control inches from my face, slamming into a pylon while I walked on, untouched by the chaos. It was the first red flag that my synthetic luck was draining the safety from everyone caught in my wake. I bypassed the filters of Neo Verona's most elite casino, where the sentinels didn't even glance at my ID, blinded by my aura of manufactured success. Every credit I pushed across the roulette table triggered an immediate payout, an impossible streak that spat in the face of physics. The overhead lights flickered violently. Strained by the statistical distortion, my presence bled into the greed-soaked air. People around me began to lose everything in seconds, their pale faces reflecting the energy theft my cruel script was performing. I felt an intoxicating surge of power, but in the back of my mind, the dread of the data hunters began to take root. Every credit that hit my digital wallet was echoed by a scream of ruin somewhere in the dark corners of the central floor. Synthetic luck wasn't just making me rich, it was cannibalizing the hope of Neo Verona to fuel my new high life. I returned to my sanctuary surrounded by luxuries I never dreamed of, but the shadow behind me felt heavier. more predatory. I accessed the terminal to check the server load and found an encrypted message that turned my blood to ice. The balance has been severed. The debt of your luck will be paid in the blood of those you swore to protect. A knot tightened in my throat as the security feeds showed horrific accidents tearing through the slums where my family still lived. My luck was their death sentence, a cold, equivalent exchange I hadn't factored into my digital ritual of revenge. I tried to kill the synthetic luck script, but the system had gone rogue, feeding on the kinetic energy of human suffering. The monitor displayed a countdown to the next jackpot, and every ticking second was a heartbeat stolen from someone I love. I was wealthy, I was untouchable, but I realized I had become the most efficient monster Neo Verona had ever spawned. Auditor Valerius severed the uplink, immediately spearheading the physical manhunt through the rain-slicked, shadow-drenched alleys of Neo Verona. I abandoned my technological sanctuary, clutching only my jacket. It was pulsing with the prohibited energy that was currently dismantling my life. Corporate oversight drones swarmed the digital slums, their piercing blue beams scanning the faces of the crowd for the human glitch. My synthetic luck still acted as a shroud, causing sensors to flicker and cameras to error out as I sprinted past them. But the weight of that protection was paid for by the innocents, stumbling and falling under the wheels of high-speed aerotaxis. The city felt sentient and vengeful, manipulating the very odds to corner me and hand me over to the data hunters. Elevators stalled and security gates locked tight. Neo Verona itself was actively conspiring to trap me in a dead-end alley. I needed an ancient access point, something analog that the central algorithm couldn't fully predict or override. My golden veins burned with the sheer intensity of the stockpiled luck, a fever that left me reeling and gasping for air. I spotted a derelict cinema, a relic where modern tech had yet to fully penetrate with its glowing blue tentacles. I broke inside and found a ghost of the past, a film projector that operated on nothing but pure, mechanical gears. I hardwired my portable terminal into the ancient machinery, attempting to trigger a feedback loop that would blind the central probability processor. The corporate algorithm jammed, paralyzed by the influx of chaotic analog data I was forcing into the grid. But Valerius didn't rely on code alone. He stood framed in the theater doorway, a black silhouette cutting through the projector's beam. His cybernetic blue eyes glowed with the coldness of a digital executioner ready to delete a corrupted file. There was no exit left, and the countdown to my family's next tragedy was rapidly approaching absolute zero. I realized the only way to kill the synthetic luck script was to overload it with the very misfortune I had siphoned away. I would have to jack in directly to the central terminal, using my own body as a conduit for a total statistical explosion. My distressed leather jacket flared with an unbearable light, the internal gold pulsing like a localized digital supernova. I charged toward Valerius not to fight, but to use his proximity as a bridge to the corporate mainframe. The collision between my volatile luck and Valerius's frozen perfection ripped open a digital rift that began devouring the corporate net. I felt the synthetic luck code being purged from my marrow, an agonizing sensation that felt like tearing my weary soul apart. Neo Verona's central terminal suffered a total meltdown, the gold and blue lights merging into a storm of absolute chaos. Valerius tried to process the anomaly, but his logical mind was crushed by the weight of the human misery I was dumping back into the system. The abandoned cinema shook to its foundations as the old film ignited, projecting distorted shadows of a dead era. The tragedy counter for my family froze at the final second, halting their fate just before the algorithm could strike. I collapsed onto the cold metal floor, watching the golden shimmer of my jacket fade like an ember dying in the dark. The corporate network silently rebooted, scrubbing the synthetic luck bug and restoring Neo Verona's cold, unjust order. Valerius vanished back into the shadows, his cleanup mission complete, leaving only the void of a city that never forgives digital sins. I was alive, But my luck had abandoned me completely, leaving nothing but the weight of raw, unfiltered reality. I walked out of the cinema to see the first light of dawn, struggling to pierce the toxic smog of the Verona sky. My pockets were empty, and my digital accounts were zeroed out. The silence in my mind was the price of the peace I won. People in the streets moved on with their programmed lives, ignoring the man who nearly shattered the world's balance for greed. Synthetic luck is a gilded poison. In the end, it only accelerates your terminal descent into the abyss. I headed toward the slums of my family, every step heavy on the wet asphalt that reflected the morning's gray light. I no longer possessed the power of a god, but I carried the weight of a man who chose redemption over fortune. The system remains, vigilant and flawless, waiting for the next desperate hacker to believe the lie of a golden life. In Neo Verona, sins are etched in silicon, but the scars on the soul are the only things we take to the grave. The artificial sun rose over the corporate spires, while I dissolved into the anonymous crowd of those still waiting for a break. I am just another corrected error, a corrupted memory in a city that ultimately prefers to forget its monsters.